So I believe it's been over 3 weeks since Sony made that awful news about stopping physical gaming in 2028. And as you guys know, if you've been following the channel, I've been someone who's been really freaking upset by this. Like, I just feel like this is devastating news for gaming. This is devastating news for consumers because of the inevitable price hikes, the all digital future, no second-hand market. The only place to buy your games will be from PlayStation. And it's known today that there are so many deals that goes on with physical media, the secondhand market, and then yet you go onto the PlayStation store. It is absolutely incredible with some of these prices of these games, which I've gone through before, where still some games that are quite a few years old, they are still full price. You might say it is the minority, but Sony have finally responded. Finally, not directly to the fans, but during an earnings call. And we're going to have a look through this video. Even though I keep trying to bring attention to this, they say that it's had zero effect, this announcement. But for me, it's not surprising that they haven't seen any impact or negative impact on their business. I think it's something that will come later, maybe during the launch of the PlayStation 6. So if you do enjoy these videos, make sure you hit the like button and let's go. Sony had a latest earnings call, and we're going to have a look at the video as well. Even though I'm trying to bring as much attention to this, I feel like there will be an effect. There will be a negative effect on Sony at some point. I might be completely wrong, but I don't think it's going to come anytime soon, because I feel like more and more people are going to be buying as much physical media as possible. But as we've seen here, we are not seeing any impact on our business. Sony says physical disc backlash is having zero effect. And if you go to the comments before we read on, a lot of people are just saying, you know what, this is why social media is a minority. People are saying that it's deeply embarrassing that people believe there is a boycott underway, when in reality, at least 90% of the public doesn't care, and the other 10% are just farming likes and engagement, which I wouldn't say I'm doing that. I'm deeply upset about this and feel like this is only going to be a bad thing, because you will own nothing in the future and you will be happy about it. And people can say what they want, whether they think this is going to take effect or not, but I really hope that PlayStation do see a negative effect because of how anti-consumer they have been. If this is the case with physical media, and this is what's really annoying about some people when it comes to social media, or they think, look, it's inevitable, we've seen it with music, we've seen it with movies. You can still buy Blu-ray DVDs of new films coming out today. Literally today at work, I went to my local CEX, and there are still Blu-ray DVDs of some of the latest movies, even the latest Superman, and you can get these really cheap. And what's more annoying is that people think, oh, it's going to make a difference. Look at this is the inevitable where the future's going. Why can't they both, digital and physical, coexist instead of getting rid of one? And the only reason is not because, oh, digital's more popular. Reason is because they want to make more money. They don't want the secondhand market. They want places like CEX, GameStop, eBay. They don't want you borrowing games anymore. And that is what's more frustrating. This isn't about me saying stop digital media, stop digital gaming. For me, this is about giving consumers a choice. And even if you say it's a minority that still buy physical discs, I can't wait to see I hope we see the numbers for Wolverine on PlayStation 5. But it's the fact that we want both, and there's no reason why they can't both coexist. So it's really frustrating when people think, you know, just get over it. I don't want to settle. This is why I think it's so important to hopefully continue fighting this. Listen, whether it makes a difference or not, I'm not saying for you not to buy this or not to buy that. They can coexist. They're not going to see the negative effects now. They definitely won't. Me, I'm still buying PlayStation 5 games. I love gaming. It's a hobby of mine. The real test will be when the PlayStation 6 comes out, when 2028 comes out, and it's inevitable that obviously things are starting to slow down. They're selling us an over expensive digital box of over £1,000 potentially, maybe even more. And then they're thinking, why aren't people buying more games? Or why isn't people spending like they used to? Let's have a look at this. And you could just tell by the video of this is that they are so corporate. It's freaking nuts.
So PS5 ending disc production. The second question. So on this point, so we announced that January 2028 onwards, we will no longer be manufacturing game discs. So 1.5 years ahead. So we made this announcement at this time. There are various reasons we made this decision, the biggest being that the digitalization of contents overall has been progressing. That's the big factor. It's not just for PlayStation, but for all kinds of contents, digitalization is progressing. And so when we think about the future, and we put in a lot of thought and time, and we cautiously considered this, and we came to this conclusion, and we're going to cautiously move this forward.
I like the way they say cautiously move this forward. Like, I don't think they are cautiously moving this forward. It's pretty straightforward what they're doing, but it's even more confusing what she goes on to say later on, because it kind of, for me, it doesn't kind of make sense.
To this decision, we have received various opinions, and people have strong views, and we understand that the community has put forth those views to us. Games are loved by many people. It's a form of entertainment that's loved by people, and it's connected to people's fond memories in many cases. And so we understand those emotions. We want to consider that. And in the future digital ecosystem, how do we engage the gamers is something that we would like to continue to explore. Thank you very much.
What? That doesn't make any sense. They didn't address that. No offense. Look at this. This is so. If this isn't so corporate, look at this. A bunch of people in suits that don't understand their community. She literally just said a bunch of nothing, and this is what's so frustrating. They haven't addressed whether I've missed something or whether they're going to come out with something later on. They haven't addressed anything about ownership. They haven't said anything about kind of refunds, protecting consumers. You could have at least said we are looking to change and think about the way, ownership works. Nothing like that. Look, we want to consider that in the future digital ecosystem, how do you engage? The game is this something that would like to continue to explore. Thank you very well. Let me go back a bit more because it's really frustrating because it doesn't make any sense. Like you basically said a bunch of nothing. So look, they're going to cautiously move forward with this. We have received various opinions and people have strong views. We understand that the community has put forth those views to us. Games are loved by many people. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's a form of entertainment that is loved by people, okay? And it connects us to people's fond memories, okay? In many cases, so we understand these emotions, we want to consider that in the future digital ecosystem. How do you engage the gamers is something that would like to continue. Thank you very much. Like, is that the case of this whole code in a box scenario? Is that what she's trying to say? Oh, well, we understand that this means a lot to them. We want to consider that as well, hence why we're giving you a code in a box. Supposedly they've spoken more about this in terms of speaking to retailers as well about this stupid code in a box. But personally, I think this is I'm not standing down on this in terms of my opinion. And I know it's like easier said than done and people can say, well, just don't buy it. Of course, like once we see what the PlayStation 6 is going to look like, then I would make my decision. Obviously, that's what people do. Like, yeah, I might buy it, I might not. Is it going to be a £1,200 box that is a digital box only? You don't own the games. You've got to always be connected online. This is what people made the argument back in the day with Xbox, and the backlash on that was absolutely crazy. Is that the case that time has moved forward and people simply don't care anymore? That's not for me to throw my toys out of the pram. It's just me thinking that this is their first response. It's not directly to the fans. It's actually kind of disappointing because they're so distant from their fans. And I like to go back to what made PlayStation what they are today. And I think they are totally forgetting that. I might be wrong in what I'm thinking, but I just predict that when it comes to the PlayStation 6 and when it comes to the next generation, I feel like gaming is completely different to music and films, even though they can still coexist. And they still coexist. You can buy Blu-ray DVDs. They aren't as popular as streaming, even though I might be the minority. I really hate streaming services. I really hate them. I went into CX and when I get paid eventually in the next month or so, I'm going to go into CX and buy a shitload of Blu-ray DVDs and start making a collection because I'm fed up with these streaming services. I'm fed up of the inevitable price hikes. I'm fed up of, they're locking quality behind a paywall. Ads now. We get loads of ads now. And for me, it's frustrating. And the fact that this is what they've said, and they've basically said a whole bunch of nothing. Now, obviously, going back to this article here, at this point, we are not seeing any impact on our business, but But going forward about the content sales, a large part is already digitized, and therefore, as a result of discontinuation of discs, we don't see that there will be any negative impact on our business. However, as I already said, the users, the players have attachments, and we have to think about how to respond to that feedback. So listening to that, are they considering something? I don't know what they think they could consider. And it's obviously maybe that is why they haven't responded. Maybe they don't know what to say because they're like, what can we say? The thing about it is that it's very disappointing that they haven't responded. It's like they could have and thought, you know what, we're not backing down. Okay, the community's pissed. What are they pissed about? Well, first of all, it's not just the fact that it's digitized. It's the fact that the ownership problems. It's the fact that the deals and the prices and you and us getting rid of the secondhand market. It's the fact that they can't lend their freaking games that they pay full price for. They can't borrow. You can't sell. The refund policy is terrible. The customer service. So the fact that they could have at least said, we know this isn't the news that some fans might not want. We are looking into changing and looking into the rules or the terms and conditions that come with digital media in terms of refunds, in terms of player ownership. I know they wouldn't, but it's like if you want to do something or soften the blow, even if this is the way it's going with physical media, you're just basically saying, you know what, we want to make as much money off you as possible. And I don't know about you, but the last few videos I've done, there's been a shitload of people, and I know people might say it's a minority because it's YouTube. You've seen the comments on like the Wolverine. You've seen the comments on that trailer where there's over 10,000, I think it's like 15,000 comments where people are just going on about physical media and how they're going to be buying the physical media. So the fact that they're saying we're not seeing an impact on our business, I get that. I didn't think anyone thought that they would see a negative impact right now on their business. Most people are locked into their PS5 ecosystem, including myself. The fact that there are still physical games is the reason why I will continue to buy as many physical games as possible. And when it comes to the next generation and 2028, I will definitely rethink how much I invest my money into PlayStation if I'm on the next generation. I like to think I would be. I'd like to think that it's going to come with an option of a disc drive so I can play my PS5 games. But for me, I'm just trying to work it out in my head. I don't want to have an all digital console. So what's going to motivate me to buy an over £1,000 console that doesn't have physical games on that disc? And you can say what you want that, okay, Halo, you have to download most of the discs. The fact is that I can send this. well, Assassin's Creed's in here, same sort of thing. But the fact is that I can give this to a friend and I can give it to him and he can put it into his Xbox. He can put it into his PlayStation and he can borrow the game. So for me, even with the game keycards with Switch 2, people can go on and say, well, look at that. Even though Nintendo, they class that as digital sales, baffling. But again, they do things in a way where it marks up the digital sales as much as possible. We've got games that are only digital only. Indie developers then bring out a physical release. They compare that to physical, and then they think, look, digital is more popular. If there was a physical sale as well as the digital at launch, then again, those numbers would be so different. It's a no-brainer that there is no negative impact at this moment in time. And then including that blackout, I will take part in this blackout. Do I think it's going to make a difference? No. Do I think it's important? Yeah, you know what? I would like to do as much as I feel like I can possible. So I probably won't sign in to my PS Plus. I'm going to work out if I could just sign out and be offline and just play my games offline. I'll be going away on holiday soon. So again, I'm going to miss some of this week anyway. So it's worth knowing that the manufacturer is forecasting a record-breaking fiscal year, which is not surprising at all, which will beat even Nintendo's results during the peak of the pandemic. Clearly doesn't say that the blackout is going to make any difference. I don't think it will. Imagine 100,000 people take part in this blackout. 200,000, 300. They have about 100 million users. It's not going to make a difference, but I just think it's a statement to make. This is what's so annoying. How unsurprising, but will give the site plenty more engagement bait. Seeing how they've stopped selling games on discs yet, how could it affect game sales? If you have a PS5, I don't see any reason not to use your purchase as normal. The real story will be when the PS6 comes out at a high price with less consumer rights, and after a very disappointing current generation, are as many people really going to be happy to just throw money at that thing? At least day one. And this is what I'm saying. This is why it's very baffling to say, well, we've seen no negative impact. Yeah, you haven't brought out your next generation. We haven't even got to the date of 2028 where you are going to be stopping physical media. That's what the test is going to be. It's like the fact with Naughty Dog. Everyone's going on about The Last of Us Part 2 and look, the negative impact on that game didn't make a difference. The fact is that That's not the test. Everyone was blinded that, they false marketed that game, and including myself. The test will be when Intergalactic comes out. How many people are going to be buying that game? And it's like with the Wii U situation. The Wii was an unbelievable, successful console. That sold absolutely millions. They brought out the Wii U. And I'm not saying it's different, but my point is, Nintendo were such at a high with the Nintendo Wii. They brought out the Wii U and it absolutely flopped. So do I think that Sony could be in a similar position with the PlayStation 6? 100%. Just because they're successful now, it doesn't mean we can't see a decline in Sony and their ecosystem and their next generation. For me, it's even more disappointing that they half acknowledged the fans and why we were upset, yet they decided to move away, or maybe it's something they're waiting to figure out to respond when it comes to what I said before: ownership, lending games, borrowing games, selling games. You're going to sell us an over £1,000 PlayStation 6. That is going to be limited. As a consumer, we get less rights. We get higher prices for these games. Why are we getting ripped off? So I feel like the test will be in the future when it comes to the next generation and 2028. But obviously you can see I'm upset by this, the fact that they're just such a corporate talk, and it's such a shame to see what PlayStation has become, where, just as the PS4 era, like the humor on that was unbelievable. So all I'm saying is, Xbox, you could do something very, very funny with the marketing of your next generation console with the Xbox Helix. You could do a certain ad with, showing us how we could potentially borrow games on your next generation console. But what do you think about Sony's response to an all physical, an all digital future? Is it something you are considering to buy? Or are you someone who's out with the PlayStation? Have you changed your mind at all? I want you to drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know. We're trying to make it up to 10,000 subscribers. I will see you soon.